So that's little Raider. Little Raider. So yesterday, okay, I think it was Wednesday when I was out with the group. This lady that lives in here was like, "Hey, you train dogs? Look, I got this dog. He just freaks out every time somebody comes over. I don't want to give her up, but I'm gonna have to give her up if I can't do something about it." So we talked. Then at some point, I always like to do this. How long has she been doing it? Right? You find out how long the behavior's been going on, and then as part of my feeling out of the people is I go, it's such a practiced behavior. You're probably gonna have to correct it, right? You're probably gonna have to correct it while we're teaching her how we actually want her to behave. Because with a lot of practiced behaviors, especially with when people say that they're fixing to give the dog up, because she said she had an appointment to drop her off already, but it's like a month down the road or something. I can't remember, or maybe it's just a couple weeks. I don't remember the date she said, because it's unimportant to me. So you can get a feel for the people, right? So she said how much she loves the dog so many times. I'm like, well, that's probably part of the problem. We'll see. So, anyways, I go over there yesterday, and look, this is what you should do. Well, this is what I do, and this is what most people who are under the stupid label that we have to have on people, under the label of being balance trainers, most of them think this way. You go in hoping that tossing hot dogs is going to do the trick, right? You go in hoping just your energy. So number one, you got a fearful dog. The most important tool you have is your energy. Okay, it's more important than your food. Food is big, but your energy is number one. So let's get past this car, and then we'll let him go. Here, this way. Where'd he go? Let me get my glove back on. No. Right? So energy is your most important thing. So you go in hoping that just your energy and your actions, right, and hot dogs or cookies are gonna fix everything. But you have to expect that, especially my opinion with practiced behaviors, that you're gonna have to do some corrections. Now, so that's, you hope for the best, expect the worst, right? That's kind of the way you should live life. You hope everything works out perfectly all day, every day, ideally, right? That's another thing I like to say. Ideally this, but life isn't always ideal. So you hope for the best, expect the worst, right? The best would be I get to go in there, talk to the lady, throw a bunch of hot dogs to the dogs, is fine. The worst would be the dog's freaking out on me, you have to correct that, and then now that the dog's head is in a good space because of the correction, now we can actually teach what behavior is that we want, right? So there's a lot of pushing, working under threshold. When you're in an apartment, there's no under threshold going on. There's no way. Reality sets in, right? When I'm out here working with dogs, like leash wise, I can go almost 100 feet away, right? Now that's not realistic for somebody like in the neighborhood. You can gain space by going across the street, right? Because distance is your friend. But anyways, I didn't mean to get so long-winded because I'm already at 5 minutes. I went in yesterday, and the whole hour I was there, The only time the dog weirded out, and she didn't bark or anything. The only time she weirded out was after about 30 minutes. I tried to actually get her to, after about 30 minutes where we were talking, and then I'd occasionally throw a hot dog to the dog, and then I'd throw one away from the dog, so that way the dog looks at me, gets the hot dog, and then I'd throw one away so she disengages from me, right? It takes the pressure off. Because just the fact that a person is there is putting pressure on the dog, right? So this is a dog that probably had no socialization at all, lived out in the middle of nowhere, right? And then she lived in a hotel for a little while with the people. And then, hey dude, it's a little cold for a long walk, ain't it? He's like, hell no, I don't give a shit about that. That's you humans think that we can't handle it. So anyways, that's all we did. Like, I went in and we were talking, and then after I was like, just ignore the dog. If she starts barking, then he's gonna walk her out of the room, right? So it's negative punishment. You take away the opportunity for reward. The reward for the dog in that moment is barking at me and me going away. Boop. So anyways, where was I going? Oh, so we were talking, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's not barking her head off. Because what would happen is the dog would start barking, and then they go put her in the crate, and then she'd bark more, right? And I said, so part of it is the lady was talking to me and not paying attention to the dog. And part of it is the kid had the dog on the leash, right? So now the dog's not able to just like do whatever it wants and get into that headspace of freaking out. So that's part of it. So then, but I told her, like, I was like, look, whenever your visitors come, it's not going to be this easy, right? Because part of it is she wasn't worried about the dog. She was worried about paying attention to what I was going to tell her to do, right? So typically what happens is the dog freaks out on visitors. So now the person is expecting the dog to freak out on visitors. So the person is on edge when the visitors get there. The dog picks up on that energy of her. So it's just this big vicious circle that goes around and around and around, right? Makes everything worse. So, but we talked, and then the dog stayed back away. Like, the dog was pretty far back. So I just randomly would toss one or two hot dogs to it. And then it started coming up to me. And then, so it smelled me. I'd say it was about 20-25 minutes in, and probably a hot dog. I cut hot dogs into little slices. Probably a hot dog in, right? So 20 treats, right? She came up, started sniffing. So I reached out to, actually, she was starting to approach, then I put my hand out, and then when she got close, she weirded out. But she still didn't react. She just kind of, what's it called? Like, she was coming this way, and she went, whoa, retreated a little. And that was okay. I was like, your visitors, she doesn't have to interact with her visitors. You just want her to be like this. This is all you need out of her. She doesn't have to be friends with your visitors. She just needs to not react to them. So anyways, that was my story of positive reinforcement only actually worked for a practice behavior. And again, this is what I want to say. A big part of it was my energy and the fact that she was not initially nervous, right? So she was focused on what I was going to tell her to do. She was not worried about the dog, right? So that's what I told her. I was like, well, look, when your visitors come, first off, it's not going to be that easy. But second off, you got to remember how you were when I got here. You were cool. You were focused on me. You didn't care about the dog. You weren't nervous about it. What was going to happen, right? So therefore, the dog didn't pick up on it. The dog didn't freak out. and hot dogs works. And oh yeah, so I told her, look, so here's your three things to do. When the person comes in, you talk to the person, you handshake. That physical handshake lets the dog see that you've accepted that person into the circle of trust, right? So, talking is one thing, but an actual physical touch, oh, that dude's not gonna kill my mama? Well, he's not gonna kill my mama, he ain't gonna kill me, right? Even if it's a person that they've seen a bunch of times. He used to would have freaked out about the dumpster. Dumpster? The trash truck. Why are you hopping, dude? I've been hopping a lot the last couple of days. Right? So the physical handshake a lot of times will help, and then food from the big scary thing, or at least while the big scary thing is in the presence. And that food comes when she's facing the person, and then you disengage the dog by tossing the food behind, right? So, and the food, as long as the dog isn't reacting. If the dog's reacting, boom, you take her out of the room, right? And then you reapproach. Take her out of the room, let her calm down a little bit, come back in. If that doesn't work, I told them, if that doesn't work, take her outside and let her go outside and calm down, kind of sniff around in the grass, stay outside for 5 minutes, and then bring her back in. See if then she's calmed down. Maybe if the person's already in, she'll do better. But she at least needs to go out and calm down, because we already know that going into the room isn't going to calm her down. So she needs to be take the pressure of the person being there away, right? And I personally like I've seen people tell the guest to leave. The thing I don't like about that, if she was barking and she's in the headspace of like, I want that person to leave, right? And then the person leaves, well then she got what she wanted. We want her to calm down, right? And get and adjust to a person being there, right? And the thing is a lot of people won't help with that. So that's why I told her, at least if you have a couple treats, you can toss them to them, right? A lot of times the people aren't going to do it. It's because it's kind of a weird, awkward thing to ask people to do. Not everybody's going to be a part of your training or wants to be a part of your training, right? If they do, that's ideal, right? Ideally, the food's, again, like things, what do I say? Ideally this, but life's not ideal. Ideally, the person throws the food. But, and at the same time, the person has to ignore the dog. It can't be like, hey, Shadow, what's going on? You can work up to that, but at first, you don't want to do that. At first, you just want no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Here's your food. Okay, now disengage. Okay, my fingers are froze. Holy cow, 13 minutes? That was supposed to be a 5-minute one.